Question number 7, Catherine Delahunty.
Tēnā koe, Mr Speaker, he mihi nui ki a koe. To the Minister of Foreign Affairs, did the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Trade provide him with advice regarding the visit of Benny Wenda to New Zealand and the possibility of Mr Wenda speaking at a meeting in Parliament? And if so, what was that advice?
Honourable Murray McCully.
Speaker, no, but I was made aware that our embassy in Jakarta advised the Ministry's head office of Mr Wenda's impending visit and recommended that if Mr Wenda requested a meeting with the government, officials from the Ministry should meet him. I understand that such a meeting took place this morning.
Catherine Delahunty.
Did he personally advise against Mr Wenda speaking at a public forum at our Parliament? If so, why?
Mr Speaker,
Honourable Murray McCully.
no, indeed, to the best of my knowledge, I've not been asked to comment on whether Mr Wenda should be invited to speak at the Parliament. I believe that there are arrangements under which all parties here are able to invite people to speak in their caucus rooms, and I have not been asked to opine upon that topic. What I was asked about was whether I thought it was a good fit with the policies of this government for national members to co-sponsor a meeting at which Mr Wenda would be the guest speaker, and I expressed the view that it would not.
Supplementary.
Catherine Delahunty.
Why did he tell government MPs that they should not support a public forum involving Mr Wenda, giving an insight into human rights in West Papua, given the fact that Mr Wenda has spoken at a number of parliaments around the world?
Honourable Murray McCully.
Mr Speaker, I have never been asked to express a view on whether Mr Wenda should be invited to speak. I made it clear that I thought it was not a good fit with the policies of this government for national members to co-sponsor a speaking opportunity. Mr Speaker, I think the member and I might agree on one matter. The background
Point of order, Catherine Delahunty.
Supplementary was not about whether he was asking people to speak. It was about, did he tell government MPs that they should not support a public forum? It wasn't about speaking, it was about whether he told government MPs whether they should support it.
I think if the member gave the Minister enough time to answer the question, he would answer it to his satisfaction.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. That was precisely what I had in mind. I think the member and I might agree on one matter, which is that the background to human rights matters in West Papua is not a good one. And while the Indonesian government has worked very hard in recent years to improve the human rights position, it is fair to say that even they would agree that the position is far from perfect. The New Zealand government set a course of constructive engagement on these matters, including targeting extra funding, development assistance, around $5 million a year to West Papua, and raising directly our concerns about those human rights issues with both ministers and officials in the Indonesian government. So in that respect, I believe, Mr Speaker, the member and I can agree. What I do not agree with is that for members of the current government to co-sponsor a speaker who's a leader of the West Papua independence movement would be a good fit with that policy of constructive engagement.
Supplementary question, Marianne Street.
To the Minister, does he believe that the government's level of discomfort around who might speak at a cross-party meeting in Parliament should be one of the principles on which any speaker might make a decision to allow such a meeting?
Mr Speaker, I think I've made it very clear that I haven't been asked for a view on whether Mr Wenda should speak at the New Zealand Parliament. I was asked by parliamentary colleagues whether it was a good fit with the policy of the government for them to co-sponsor such a meeting. I have no particular view about whether Mr Wenda should be invited to speak at any meetings.
Further supplementary question, Catherine Delahunty.
To the Minister, will he meet with a leader of the West Papuan people, Mr Wenda, or does he consider that meeting with members of the Indonesian government is the only way to promote dialogue?
Honourable Murray McCully.
Speaker, I meet a wide range of people from within and outside the government from Indonesia, and I believe the relationship we have with Indonesia is a good one, including our ability to engage constructively on difficult issues around human rights, including in West Papua. But as far as Mr Wenda is concerned, the advice that was sent, as I replied in my primary question, from the embassy in Jakarta was that Mr Wenda may seek a meeting with the New Zealand government, and if so, the advice was that officials should meet with him, and I understand that occurred this morning.
Point of order, Dr Russell.
It was a very direct question, will he meet? He talked about whether officials would meet, and he said that they would. The question was whether the minister would meet with Mr Wenda.
And I think it was very clear from his answer that he's not intending to meet, but his officials have the opportunity. Further supplementary?
Point of order, Mr Speaker. It became a habit of the previous speaker to interpret the answers. I don't think it was a good habit. I'd like to hear it from the minister.
Order. It is my job here to interpret whether the ministers have satisfactorily answered the question. And in that case, why it didn't specifically say, no, as Minister I won't be, it was very clear to me, listening to the answer, that he answered the question, would not be meeting with Mr Wenda, but the officials had had the opportunity to do so. Is there a further supplementary? Supplementary question, Catherine Delahunty.
What confidence can the public have that he, as Minister of Foreign Affairs, will raise human rights issues in his dealings with Indonesia when he is willing to suppress the right of Papuans to speak in our parliament?
Honourable Murray McCulley.
Mr Speaker, I'll say this as clearly as I can. The member can invite anyone she wants to her office or to her caucus room to speak about anything they like. That is of no concern to me. With regard to the first part of her question, can I say that I've taken very great care to ensure that on all appropriate occasions we engage with the Minister and senior officials from Indonesia on human rights issues, including human rights issues in West Papua, where there are serious issues that need to be addressed. Good progress has been made, and I believe New Zealand's policy of constructive engagement has assisted that process, but there is significant further work to be done, and we never shirk our responsibility to raise those issues, I can assure you.
Point of order, Dr Russell Norman.
Mr Speaker, this issue relates to you as Speaker as much as the Minister, and effectively by the Minister giving that direction to his colleagues, he vetoed this parliamentary meeting under your ruling. Order. We wrote a letter to you, and I'm asking you, when will you reply to our letter on this issue?
When I have a chance to do so. That is not a legitimate point of order. This is an opportunity for members of Parliament to ask the Executive, not to question a decision that I have made as Speaker. If the member wants to come and see me at any time to discuss that decision, my door is open. If the member equally wants to raise the issue about the guidelines for these events through Parliamentary Service Commission, then that is the appropriate place to do it. I move now to question number 8 in the name of Paseta Sam Lotuinga.